Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
From a new species of sharp-clawed dinosaurs to how DNA testing can pinpoint which farm that bar of chocolate you're eating came from. These are some of the things we talk about on this episode of Scientifics. This is Mohana Basu, and every week on the Prince Scientifics, I take you through some of the top science stories of the week from across the globe. This week, scientists have developed a new method of DNA testing on cocoa beans that can pinpoint the farm where the cocoa was grown, as well as the processing unit where an individual chocolate bar was made. This advance could revolutionize the chocolate industry, offering consumers greater reassurance about the origins and ethics of their beloved confectionery, and giving the global cocoa industry a precision tool to help end slavery and child labor. Using this research, activists, NGOs and governments will be able to prove whether the chocolate bar you buy in your local store contains cocoa grown from farms which abuse the environment or employ child or forced labor. The cost of DNA sampling would be a tiny fraction of the chocolate industry's revenues, according to the researchers. Building a database in Ghana and Ivory Coast, which is the source of more than 70% of the world's cocoa production, would help ensure that the industry does not end up supporting millions of child laborers working on farms in West Africa. The majority of the world's cocoa is collected by small-scale traders and taken to larger trading facilities where vast quantities are traded on international markets. Tracing beans back to the farm of origin is a challenge because of the number of parties involved in aggregating and mixing crops early in the supply chain. Biochemical barcodes extracted from the plant DNA offer a way to resolve this issue. These biomarkers are unique indicators of the plant and the particular environment in which this plant is grown. Biomarkers in cocoa beans can survive industrial processes in chocolate making, allowing for the identification of individual cocoa farm beans from a mixture of different origins of final products. Also this week, a team of geneticists and archaeologists from Ireland, France, Iran, Germany and Austria has sequenced the DNA from a 1600-year-old sheep mummy from an ancient Iranian salt mine known as Chehrabad. This remarkable specimen has revealed sheep husbandry practices of the ancient Near East, as well as underlining how natural mummification can affect DNA degradation. The salt mine of Chehrabad is known to preserve biological material. It is in this mine that human remains of the famed salt men were recovered, who had likely been killed in the salt mine disaster some 1700 years ago. The new research confirms that this natural mummification process, where water is removed from a corpse, preserving soft tissues that would otherwise be degraded, also conserved the animal remains. The research team extracted DNA from a small cutting of mummified skin from a leg recovered in the mine. While ancient DNA is usually damaged and fragmented, the team found that the sheep mummy DNA was extremely well preserved, with longer fragment lengths and less damage that would usually be associated with such an ancient age. The group attributes this to the mummification process, with the salt mine providing conditions ideal for preservation of animal tissues and DNA. The mummified animal was genetically similar to modern sheep breeds from the region, which suggests that there has been a continuity of ancestry of sheep in Iran since at least 1600 years ago. The team also exploited the sheep's DNA preservation to investigate genes associated with a woolly fleece and a fat tail, two important economic traits in sheep. The team built a genetic impression of the sheep and discovered that the mummy lacked the genetic variant associated with a woolly coat, while fiber analysis found microscopic details of the hair fibers consistent with hairy or mixed coat breeds. The mummy carried genetic variants associated with fat-tailed breeds, suggesting the sheep was similar to hairy-coated fat-tailed sheep seen in Iran today. Using a combination of genetic and microscopic approaches, the team managed to create a genetic picture of what sheep breeds in Iran 1600 years ago may have looked like and how they may have been used. Meanwhile, a team of researchers has identified a new species of sharp-clawed dinosaurs excavated at a site in Catalonia in Spain. The dinosaur was originally found in what has been described as prehistoric graveyard back in 1998, but only recently has it been thoroughly studied. The dinosaur was approximately 8 meters long. It has been named Portellosaurus sosbayanati and has been dated back to approximately 130 million years ago. The fossil that the researchers found was a jawbone. The dinosaur likely had multiple sharp claws, some rising from its thumbs and others from its fingertips. The researchers said that these claws would have been useful for fighting off predators as well as slicing open fruit. They would not have been used to kill prey, however, as the dinosaur ate only plants. The researchers note that the dinosaur also had very large nostrils, which indicated it likely had a very keen sense of smell, which was probably beneficial for foraging. It also had a very large tail, which would have been carried upright to maintain balance. While standing, the researchers estimate it would have been just over 3 meters tall and it would have weighed at least 3,600 kilograms. Also this week, scientists at the Institute for Protein Design at University of Washington have created an artificial intelligence system that can accurately predict protein structures based on limited information within 10 minutes. Without the aid of such software, it can take years of laboratory work to determine the structure of just one protein. Dubbed ROSE-TTA-Fold, the freely available software can now be used by scientists around the world to build protein models to accelerate their own research. Proteins consist of strings of amino acids that fold up into intricate microscopic shapes. These unique shapes in turn give rise to nearly every chemical process inside living organisms. By better understanding protein shapes, scientists can speed up the development of new treatments for cancer, COVID-19 and thousands of other health disorders. ROSE-TTA-Fold software tool can reliably compute a protein structure in as little as 10 minutes on a single gaming computer. The team used ROSE-TTA-Fold to compute hundreds of new protein structures, including many poorly understood proteins from the human genome. They also generated structures directly relevant to human health, including those for proteins associated with problematic lipid metabolism, inflammation disorders, and cancer growth. Also this week, researchers from the University of Oxford have managed to accurately determine elephant locations by measuring the vibration of the ground caused by their rumbles. To do this, the team used seismometers, which are typically used for measuring earthquakes and explosions. Seismic waves pass through lots of different solid materials between the source and the sensor, unlike the acoustic waves. It was therefore a surprise that the seismic sensors worked just as well as acoustic sensors to localize the elephants. Acoustic and seismic equipment was set up around a watering hole known to be frequented by elephants at a research center in Kenya, and paired with camera traps to provide additional data. Researchers discovered that the seismic data set led to a more accurate localization of elephants than the acoustic data set. From a conservation perspective, using seismic sensors offer an alternative and additional way of assessing wildlife activity. Knowing whether or not elephants are present in protected areas or if they are going into environments with high risks allows for reactive responses and can limit human and elephant conflict. This is Mohana Basu, special correspondent at The Print. If you like our videos, do consider paying for a subscription to The Print. You can do so through the link in the description box below.